So I got this question from chat. Let's start here. It says, I'm very confused by people saying that it is bad to bring a child into the world. Maybe I have not gone through enough discussions around the topic, but to me, stopping to bring children into the world sounds like collective suicide to me. I keep wondering why we are making the world a better place if we don't want to bring more people into it. Is it like the vegan take about stopping to make milk cows reproduce because thought selective breeding, their bodies are suffering too much and they better just not exist? It's better for them not to just exist. Sometimes I use my phone and it autocorrects really terribly, so I'm going to assume that's what's happening here. I don't understand. I feel like refusing to bring kids in the world is like giving up. Why not just die then? So I want to start here because when I make comments on stream, like, think about this before you bring a baby into the universe, people think, oh, Brittany's an anti-natalist. I'm not anti-nothing when it comes to bringing babies into the universe. I think it would be beautiful if parents educated themselves and were shepherds and we brought babies into the universe with them as the center of our thought. I would love it if we gave everything to children and we really focused in on how we're influencing them and how they end up turning out good or bad. Yes, because of the way we raise them, and two, because how society is as a collective. So no, I'm not an anti-natalist. I'm not saying to not have children. I'm saying we should be thinking about how we have children. I also think that it's interesting that when individual people decide not to have babies, it's collective suicide. But when men decide to genocide populations, it's not. Because I don't know what could be worse for the population on Earth than genociding whole populations. So it's just interesting. I think that when people who can give birth decide not to, or decide not to bring a baby into the universe, it's like, you're ruining the future of humanity. You're the reason humans will go extinct. You know, it's all on us. But when you kill, when you displace, when you starve, it's all of a sudden just like, somehow it is for the continuation of the species. Like, this is sort of what we talked about yesterday about war being a story we tell ourselves is like, we need war for peace. But like, just to clarify, right? Now, I got this secondary comment I want to read to you. This comment is because I had said that I believe in universal housing and education and all these things for everybody, included bigots, because bigots have children. And it's not that I want to see anyone unhoused either. I think what sometimes there's this difference between what I believe is leftist philosophy, or at least like deconstructed philosophy, and then what other people think it is. And it's all kind of valid based off the bubble. But when I think about the children as the center, then we when we think about, you know, like, oh, I don't want to hire a Nazi at a job, valid. Like, I don't want to have a company that hires a homophobe either. And at the same time, I'd probably hire a religious person, right? We're acting like billions of people are not bigoted. We're acting like we don't live on a planet where everyone of every skin tone, every religious background, everyone is literally bigoted. And so it's not like I think people take it for granted that they're deconstructing. I think like you take it for granted that you're doing the work and you don't give yourself enough credit because you forget that the world's a really shitty place. And so you think, well, I'm around all these great people and these people aren't bigoted. Yeah, girly, you're like the minority amongst minorities, amongst minorities. Like, watch black people deconstruct Christianity and they'll tell you right now. Watch West Asians deconstruct religion. They'll tell you right now. Go watch all of these minorities and all of these situations. That's why we say, and when Charlie Kirk tried to make the argument that we shouldn't care about Palestinians because they're homophobic, we said absolutely not. No one deserves to be genocided. Same energy you bring to Americans. U.S. citizens who are bigoted don't deserve to be genocided because they're bigots. Like, they don't deserve to be unhoused because they're bigots. Like, we're still going to house them. We're still going to feed them. We're still going to do all these things. So when we have these conversations, I just want people to be so fucking serious and consistent about their ethical stances, which is difficult when we live in a subjective reality. This is why I say, how could there be more objective morality if we can't even stay consistent when it comes to unhousing people? Do we want people unhoused or not? Do you think unhoused people are probably not conservative? Do you think all the unhoused people in the world are just all like trans and gay people, who, by the way, might be still conservative? Like, it's just like this narrative isn't materially reasonable to me. So, okay, with that said, this says, I don't know, Britt. I see your point about the bigots not being able to feed their kids after their jobs get snatched up. Yet those same people did not give a rat's ass when they outed and exposed LGBT folks and left them without a job, specifically teachers, with the protect children nonsense. The queer employees could have been taking care of children, special needs kids, or elderly relatives. The bigots did not give a single fuck. People with immutable traits versus people choosing fascism is no brainer, sorry. I can't bring myself to care about someone left unemployed because they actively choose to be harmful, bigoted, and fascist. So for the record, you don't have to care about the individual, right? Like, we talk about this all the time. No one is asking you to feel bad specifically about that individual. We're asking you to stay consistent with the system that we're aiming to have. Because again, FD Signifier talks about this all the time. He just feels like dismantling white supremacy is going to be so much harder while capitalism is still alive. So then FD Signifier said, like, no one's invited to the cookout till socialism. And that's because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, these systems, like, the world's not going to change overnight because we dismantled these systems. We're trying to chip away at the destruction, right? We're trying to chip away at the bigotry. So I understand that you don't want to feel bad for the individual bad person. Don't feel bad, right? Like, don't feel bad for specifically them as a consciousness. Be upset at the system that put that in place, that unhoused people exist, that they have children on the streets, that we can't house our people when we live in the richest place in the world, right? Like, that's where you should be upset, So I would never ask you to feel bad that specifically Charlie Kirk died. Like, I don't think you need to feel bad like Lindsey Graham died. I don't believe in that. I don't feel bad they individually died as people. I feel frustrated that they couldn't have lived a life that I could have celebrated, right? But like, also, I'm not going to ask someone who they voted for before I feed them, right? They said a queer person living their life does not compare to a bigot being reckless and abusive. The bigot should have thought about voicing their vitriol publicly when it would have impacted their livelihood. Marginalized people are tired of being abused, and there needs to be consequences for those who want to perpetuate said abuse. I've seen several marginalized folks say something along the lines of, to combat the oppressor, you have to speak their language. I'm not going to throw around poorly thought out slurs but when fascists go all blue hair, nose ring theory and be viciously transphobic, etc., then I can't promise you that I'm not going to pass on commenting about their commonly occurring aesthetic features, excluding weight. Other than that, great video, and I hope you're doing great. And I hope you're doing great too. And I hear you. Again, I just want to make sure everybody knows I am not interested in, because here's the thing, like, I remember when I was younger, in conservative bubbles, guys, they would look at people who went to prison as an example, because chat mentioned prison. They would say, and by the way, there are a lot of innocent people in prison, a lot of people who have committed no crime and holding cells. And they would say, well, you must have done something, right? Like, they would say, well, fuck around and find out, only you'd be like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. They would say, oh, well, if I had an interaction with a cop, I would know how to handle a cop because, like, you must have done something, right? They will assume that, like, the bad thing that happened to you for a reason. And not only did it happen to you for a reason, but you deserved it. And I'm saying no one deserves to suffer unwisely. No one deserves to suffer unnecessarily. No one deserves to suffer at the hands of other people. And I refuse to be a person who causes that suffering directly and with malicious intent. So again, I hear the logic. I get it. And you're right. Like, materially, it's not the same. Like, white people being racist against black people interacting with cops is not the same thing as black people being indifferent to white supremacists being unhoused. It's not the same fucking thing. And yet, at the end of the day, I would just encourage you all to realize it's not about those individual situations when we're talking about dismantling systems. Like, again, I think the reason I think we should dismantle and focus on white supremacy, even over a focus of capitalism, is just because, like, if you dismantle capitalism, now white supremacists just have power and a better economy. And you're like, okay, like, great. Like, we're still going to be excluded. So a part of me thinks we should dismantle white supremacy, but dismantling white supremacy is so hard. It's so difficult, probably more materially difficult than it is to dismantle capitalism, which is why leftists started anti-capitalism, which is why even FD Signifier said that socialism might be an easier system to dismantle white supremacy under. But when we have these conversations, I just want people to know, like, you never have to feel bad that a Nazi got his shit rocked. You should feel bad for the person who did it and has to live with that memory. Because remember, imagine you're on a date with a guy and you're on a date with a man and you're like, hey, have you ever like fought somebody? And he's like, yeah, I beat the fuck out of this guy once, sent him to the hospital. He died later. He was a Nazi though. Are you going to marry that man? Are you going to trust that man to teach your kids? Is that the guy you're going to bring home? Is this the man you're going to sleep with? Are you going to let him raise your kids? Because I'm not gonna. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not gonna. And so when we sit there and think about like the people who have to live with their actions, this is what I'm talking about. Do you want to live with that person? Because I don't live with that person. Okay. It sounds cool when your life is an anime. Sounds less cool when your life's not an anime. Which, by the way, my new commentary video is going to be about this because I think people forget about the fantasy versus the reality. I'll give you a little sneak peek. So I want to talk about how men often don't understand the idea that women reading like ravishment stories is not the same thing as wanting to be raped. And it's the same thing as like men thinking they're Vegeta in the story. Oh, so you're like a genocidal maniac. Oh, so you're a guy who gets his shit rocked by Frieza multiple times. Oh, you're the guy who gets his shit absolutely rocked by every guy every season. Remember that time he tried to fight Beerus? Okay. Is that who you want to be in the story when you say you're Vegeta? Or no? Do you think you just want to be a cool ass Saiyan who gets to X level of strength, who looks fucking cool, who has a transformation where he becomes a good dad? Like, which part of the fantasy are you actually fantasizing about? It's probably not any of the scenes where Vegeta's getting his shit rocked in. You know what I mean? So like, okay, when we have these conversations, we romanticize and we build our life on a fantasy versus actually what's happening in real life. In real life, I don't want to hear any of the men in my life brag about beating someone to death. Even a Nazi. Okay? Even a Nazi, right? Chat says, wait, why did you bring up white supremacists being unhoused? Are you asking because you missed the whole conversation? Or are you asking because that's what this is about? Like ultimately, when we're talking about unhoused bigots or not feeling bad that bigots got unhoused and not thinking about their kids, again, most of the world is bigoted. Like most of the world is white supremacist. Most of the world is racist. Most of the world is really, really horrible. And yet, even with it being as horrible as it is, like, you know, we're doing pretty good shit, but like it is a pretty bad place. So I don't know if people realize that because we're so like, I can't tell sometimes with leftists because sometimes these liberal leftists get confused. And then that's the other part of this layer is like, sometimes there's like liberals and there's leftists in the community. I'm like, which one are you? Because they're different. But sometimes I feel like when people talk, they're not acting like most of the world is a horrible place. And then I'm confused. Okay. And then it goes back to the conversation about like, why are we negative about bringing babies into the universe? First of all, that goes back to the original comment I got about bringing babies into the universe. Listen, it is not our obligation to bring babies into the universe. And also, like, okay, I need to make this clear. Like they said it sounds like collective suicide to me. It's like this part here though. Why are we making the world a better place if we don't want to bring more people into it? I don't think you guys understand how many people exist on the planet. Like respectfully, I do not think you can conceptualize what 8 billion people means. Like, I just think like, if you're going, let's say you're on a California freeway highway, 10 lanes, and you're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic and you see all of those lights, that's nothing. That's nothing. That's a drop in the water to the amount of human beings who exist on the planet. There's 8 billion people. You know how many billion is? Like, hello? And then you're sitting here like, oh, I wonder, like, you guys, we're not going to go extinct overnight. And even if we did, you know what I mean? There's no moral obligation we have to keeping human beings alive. That's subjective. Okay. But this like narrative of, you know, why are we trying to make the world a better place? Because there's people now who are alive now. There's people who are going to exist in the next 5 generations who need help because there's so many things that are going bad with everything that we're doing. Like, you know what I mean? What about the next few generations that need to exist? There's always going to be people around generally. So for those people, and yes, if we stop having babies, we'll have to move closer together. We'll have to like redo how resources are created. But also this plays into the capitalism of it all because the exploitation of people in the name of helping humanity, it never works that way. Like it just never, ever works that way. So I want you to look at these videos, okay? This is going to sound so weird. And you're like, how does this relate? I genuinely never thought anything about this before, and now I can't unsee it. I just cannot unsee what I have now seen. Okay? So let me show you these videos. Okay. So I am thinking about getting my hair done, and I put henna in my hair. Stay with me here. Stay with me here. Okay. And because I put henna in my hair, even if it's a natural henna, there's a chance that it could not do well with the dye. So I went down this rabbit hole on TikTok trying to figure out, hair stuff. And people are like, oh, wear a wig, wear a wig, wear a wig. And I was like, oh yeah, I could wear a wig. And I was like, oh, I wonder how much real human hair wigs are. And I've never thought about getting a real human hair wig. Never in my life. Okay. And don't worry, I have a hair appointment next month with a professional. So she's going to test my hair. But I never thought about wearing real human hair. But I went down a rabbit hole of real woman hair, human hair. I don't like it.
Come take a.
I think officially it is starting to look like human skin to me. And I want you to watch this with me and tell me if it does not freak you out, because I think I have a bubble pop. I think I had a bubble pop, and it scares me. Look at this.
Come take a look behind the scenes.
So this is an example of a woman who's saying she is not exploiting women for their hair because she's going straight to their homes to get it.
And let me show you what 100% real raw hair looks like. This is 100% raw Filipino hair. I didn't order this from a warehouse. I didn't buy it wholesale. I flew to the Philippines myself and sat in these women's homes and collected this hair with my own hands. As you can see me cutting the hair right here. Single donor, one woman's hair, unprocessed, no chemicals, no factory, just pure raw hair straight from the source. Majority of the vendors that you guys buy hair from, they have never even touched the hair that they sell you. I've touched every single bundle. I was there. I paid the women fairly. I funded their children's education. I invested in their lives. This is what my brand is built on. Real raw hair, real raw Filipino hair is not going to cost you $300 or $400. So if someone's selling you raw hair at that price, it is not raw, point blank. I met a girl yesterday who paid $400 for what someone called raw Indian hair. I felt the hair. She showed me pictures. It was horrible. I mean, dry, processed. It was no life to it. This is why I went directly to the source myself. When you buy from Ruth's Hair Academy, you're not just buying hair. You're buying integrity. You're buying longevity. You're buying 5+ years of hair that will outlast anything you ever had on your head.
Listen, I never thought anything about it. This is why I say, like, I will never stop learning. Like, I never thought anything about it. I was like, yeah, a real hair wig. That sounds nice. Like, oh, that's quality. And then I was like, is it like wearing a skin mask? Why does it now feel like it's wearing a skin mask? Like, oh, this isn't my real skin. I bought this skin. That's what it feels like to me now. And I'm like, oh, no. I don't like this. Hair holds memories. Hair is spiritual. You have someone else's hair on your head. I'm like, oh, wait, no. Now I don't like it. Right? Chet says farm to table hair. That's what it feels like. Okay, next video. So then I found this other girl who, okay, here, I'll show you.
I have a question. When they say 100% human hair, whose hair is it?
Jackie, it is like thousands of people's hair. So the bundle that you're holding is definitely manufactured hair, kind of like this. So it's the right color, it's the right length, and it's all bundled up, all pretty, and that silky texture that you've got. It is manufactured hair, and it's thousands of people. You have such good questions, and I want to break it down for you. I'm a custom wig maker and know way too much about hair, so let's talk about it. Next, you ask, do people grow their hair out to sell it? And yes, and I actually have one right here. And this is what she looks like.
Okay, girl, like literally the other day, I was getting icked out at parents who keep their baby's hair, and I was in their baby teeth, and I was like, honestly, with peace and love, ew. And then she pulled up this ponytail, this braid, and I was like, ew. I was like, no, we're done. We're doing too much. Okay, we're doing too much. Right? Chat says, so I think of human skin, it does feel dark, but I also think of alopecia and cancer patients. Okay, they can wear faux hair. They don't have to wear real people hair. Like, that's what I'm saying. We're not saying you can't wear a wig. We're saying, why do you have to wear people wig? You know what I mean? Can't you wear like non-people wig? And again, maybe this is like a part of the vegan journey for me where I'm like, why am I grossed out at wearing the leather and wool, but I'm not grossed out over wearing other human parts on my body? Look, Indiana, our cat is on the verge of dying, right? She's in her hospice era. And we were like, what do we want to do with her body? And we were going over, we were Googling, and people were like, you could turn her tail into a keychain. I was like, ugh. They were like, oh, you could, take her, you could taxidermy her. And I was like, first of all, hilarious, like Scrubs, but I don't think so. And then they were like, oh, you could turn her into a diamond ring. I was like, oh, I was like, okay, seriously, take me back. Before any of this fucking capitalism came and sucked the life out of our existence. How does this not feel like exploitation? Like, my loved one just died. You want me to turn her into jewelry? Like, with peace and love, girl, bury her in the earth, do a little ceremony and move on with your life. Like, I can't help it. It's like, I don't want my cat's body parts in the house. You know what I mean? Anyways, I don't even want someone's ashes in my house. No judgment, of course. But my partner, he's like, what are you going to do with my body? I was like, not keep it. That's for sure. Bye. Not keep it. Bury it, girl. I don't want your ashes in my house. I don't want nothing. Goodbye. Go to the next life. You died. Bye-bye. Like, I'm very much like, we got to move on. I don't want nothing in my house that is not about letting you go to the afterlife. Let me go with peace and love. No judgment on anybody else or anything else going on in your life, girlies. Okay. I'm just expressing something that is like genuinely a bubble pop for me, where I was like, this feels weird.
It's like, do you notice how the tail is actually much thinner than the top? That's because you can imagine it. When you pull your hair back and cut it, you're actually going to get a ton of different lengths within one ponytail. So that's the word drawn. So when someone says this ponytail has been drawn or double drawn, that's them removing length so that they are dividing it out into the different lengths in that ponytail. So the way that I know.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Pause. Chat says I have been thinking about donating my hair. Okay. Now, I do think there's a difference, and this is the capitalism versus not capitalism argument. I'm not opposed to truly an individual out of the care, because I've donated my hair when I was a kid. I am not opposed to the goodness of your heart donating your hair. And still, like surrogacy, chat's bringing up surrogacy. I'm not a fan of surrogacy. I don't think you're a bad person for doing surrogacy. I'm also anti-egg donation and sperm donation, but not because I think it's unethical. I think it is not in the long run as, this is going to sound woo-woo, it's not as in sync, I think, with philosophical spiritual joy. Like, I just think there's something about it that feels, again, maybe because capitalism always gets its dirty fucking hands and everything, but it's just like, it's like the exploitation of it is so fucking real. So I'm not opposed to an individual, a true individual, like making a decision, like donating my hair to my friend. I think that could be beautiful. Or doing surrogacy for a family member. Maybe that could be beautiful. I think the industry is exploitative, and I'm very like hesitant to be a big fan of it. Same with sex work. I hate the sex work industry, love sex workers, And so again, when we have these conversations, I also think, and this plays into, sorry, I'm going to answer a question I didn't even think about answering, but I'm going to answer it right now. I did get a question about this one here. Hold on. I have it right here on the screen. On the topic of hiring cleaning services, are we saying we shouldn't hire a cleaning service because paying someone else to clean your home is inherently negative when you don't need it? I hate cleaning. I don't know if OCD factors into this, but I'm diagnosed. And when budgeting, having career goals, I hope to earn enough budget for hiring cleaning services. I don't want to inadvertently take advantage of anyone, and I don't think I could stomach paying anyone less than $20 an hour living wage in my area. But is there something else in paying a person to care for you if you don't need it that's negative? So if we build a system, right, in which you have help, like the help, negative. Nobody is the help. I don't want to live in a world where people are the help. Okay. I don't think we should live in a world where people are those people. I don't think we should live in a world where, unless the cleaning service is considered like premium care, I don't want to hear anybody say like the maid. Okay. I don't want to hear anybody say like you're the, I don't want it. So I think living in a world where people are dignified, equal to, just as important as, we can have those conversations. But I don't want to live in a world where people, personally, I don't want to live in a world where people are seen as like, I just think that's bad. So yes, if you are disabled and need help, 100%. If we lived in a world where cleaning services would dignified work and it was like saying you were a doctor, like same energy, then no big deal. But we don't live in that world. So we need to change the way we view these people. And we can't say like these industries are for lower paying jobs. Like even the word lower paying jobs, entry level jobs, minimum wage jobs, like there's a about it that I think we should change. Okay, so that's my issue with all of this, including surrogacy, including like donating, including like, I can't tell you how many people, somebody in my life was like, hey, should I donate sperm? I need money. And I said, fuck no, you should not donate sperm. I don't need a niece and nephew somewhere out there that I don't have contact with. And they were like, yeah, but like there, it's going to be maybe a closed situation. I was like, oh, so one of our family members, like here we are talking about sacredness of the land, and you don't think it's sacred that one of my babies is out there in the universe who looks just like me? And I'm not talking about some bioessentialism shit, guys. I'm talking about some deep spiritual shit. I'm not even talking about woo-woo either, but I'm saying if we think the earth and the dirt is so important, which it is, you don't think a niece and nephew of mine is important? Because that is my niece and nephew. Now, I don't believe that, you know, genetics make everything. I think you can have chosen family. I think you can have all these things. But I don't know why we're living in a world where we don't think, you know what I mean, that it's going to matter that somebody who looks exactly like me or who exhibits like, it's not about genetics though. I think people are so reductive and so shallow in their thinking. All they hear me saying is genetic. It's not about genetics. It's about the fact that my cat had a mother that labored her into existence so she could choose me as family. It's the fact that my mother labored 10 babies into the universe so I could be here right now in front of you. My grandma labored 17 children into the universe so I could be here today. Like, whether we like it or not, people had to labor. Labor goes into this. Sacred labor goes into this. People's bodies break. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to bring a baby into the universe, and we're just casually out here bringing babies into the universe like it's no big deal. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I kind of think when we have these conversations, we need to see like how deeply sacred and important it is to build connection, to bring babies into the universe, to you know, care for a living creature in existence, right? We don't have any of that. We have an entitlement, an objectification. I can use your body. I can use your life. I can use your children. Hell, even parents exploit their kids by saying, I'm going to make more babies to work on the farm. What farm? What farm? Hello? Stop bringing babies into the universe to take care of you in your elderly years. Stop bringing babies into the universe to care for your farm. At the end of the day, we should be bringing babies into the universe because we care about the sacredness of stewarding life into existence. Okay? And that sounds maybe too woo-woo for people, but you all sound like sociopaths, psychopaths, really. Like, you know, when you have these conversations about like, oh, well, you know, people are just going to have babies and we're just going to take your hair and we're going to take your skin and we're going to take everything. Like, where is the dignity in any of these? Like, where's the dignity in any of this? Okay, look at this video. Look at this.
Hey, Shawnee, which hair do you prefer, Russian or Brazilian hair?
What is that question? What is that question? What hair do you like? Do you know what I'm saying? They're literally going around on a website being like, "Ooh, I want Asian hair. Ooh, I want this hair." Oh, what?
Hey, Shawnee, which hair do you prefer, Russian or Brazilian hair?
That's a great question. I tend to gravitate towards something that feels fine and soft, that doesn't have split ends. The way you can differentiate Brazilian to Russian is that usually the Brazilian comes with the pale yellow ponytail. And these come with the colored one. This is Russian. It's a bit heavier. It's a gorgeous hair, has a bit more texture, as opposed to, let's say, this one. Mine ponytail is just like heaven. Look at that. Feel of it is very similar. The trick is to mix both so you don't get a piece that's too naughty. So it really depends on what the supplier is bringing. Also on the orders we're having, I will pick the hair accordingly.
Hey Shawnee, which hair do you prefer?
I just don't like the energy, bro.
This is the true
Okay, here's another example.
definition of ethically sourced human hair. I do not buy hair from individuals who are starving, homeless, or impoverished. The individual in this video is far from poor. She has livestock, grows vegetables, and she lives in a beautiful house. But human exploitation does exist within the hair extension industry, and it's commonly at the start of the
Guys, this is like a multi-billion, billion, so many billions in this industry.
supply chain. I fully understand that some of my content may trigger people, especially those who have never seen how human hair is sourced. I'm just trying to highlight how I do things within this industry. I don't buy human hair from vendors, manufacturers, or other brands, because how do I know that that hair isn't a byproduct of some form of exploitation? There are thousands of hair extension brands around the world that buy their products from manufacturers without knowing how the hair was obtained. And I could do exactly the same. but I choose not to because I want to make a difference within the hair extension industry.
So it's a bunch of people going into the industry saying, I'm going to make it more ethical. But then, and again, this is like, I understand the narrative and I think there's something to be said about ways to do it. I just don't understand why. Okay. And maybe I'm being too like spiritual about it, but it just feels like you're taking my hair to sell this for how much money, you know what I mean? Like, so how much more are you charging? Are you paying me like $20 and then you're selling it for $1,500? Like, what is the price compensation? And also, like, what does it mean to be a person who grows their hair out, not for the joy of themselves, but for the idea that they'll sell it one day? Like, people talk about this with sex work, but I need people to understand that, like, not all sex work looks the same. So, like, a photo shoot could be sex work. Taking a picture of your feet could be sex work. Like, just taking a picture of your hands could be sex work. So it allows, there's an allowance there. Again, individually, sister to sister, if my sister had cancer and wanted hair, and she was like, I really like your hair, would you donate it to me? Like, we could talk about it, you know what I mean? And also, I just don't think she would ask that of me too. And then, you know, even if she did, though, we could have that conversation. But I think there's like something to be said about why the signaling of like shaving your head because someone has cancer can be like sacred or really obnoxious. Like, it's a nice like solidarity move, or it could be like a little annoying. You know, it depends on the person, right? So again, we need to have conversations about these things. It's not just black and white to me. There's so much nuance, but also like, I don't like it. Jess says, how about something even simpler like selling your plasma, something that's important, you know? Well, I think from my understanding, blood and plasma can help a lot of people and it's still okay to benefit to you. It depends. I do have people in my life that sell their plasma for money and it sucks that we're even at that point. And this reminds me of that musical. What's that musical where they sell their organs? It's really good. I've seen the movie version, but it's like, you know, so again, we want to donate certain things to the community. That's important. Like, being a donor can be important, but it also can be exploited. And so that's the problem with even organ donation, as I know so many people who stop being organ donors, which by the way, a majority of organ donors, women. But people stop being organ donors because they feel like they're going to die in the hospital faster because people want their organs. Look, exploitation happens, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we live in a world that exploits people. We live in a world that will let people die because they think like their life is over. Yes, Repo the Genetic Opera. Thank you. I really like that musical, but I think like that's the future we don't want. We don't want people to, okay, I'll give you another one. There was a YouTuber, and this is no judgment. Like, literally when I say this, I don't mean to judge or condemn. I'm just pointing out something interesting. There was a YouTuber who has a disease and their parent has the disease, and they asked their audience if somebody would donate, and somebody did, and they couldn't compensate them because it's illegal. But also genetically, if they were going to have kids, I think it's like a 50% chance their kids also need an organ donation later in the future. And they decided to have children. And it's like all these conversations need to come into consideration. Like, it goes back to disability and Crutches and Spice talking about like, you know, why you have kids is personal, but also like anyone can be disabled, anyone can need an organ donation. So like, again, I want to reference, you know, advocates who have talked about not stopping yourself from having a kid because they might need a transplant, but also what does it mean to bring babies into the universe that might need a transplant? You know, and I think about this all the time. This is such a hard decision to make for everybody, but anytime you have a child, regardless if they have a statistical probability of needing a transplant or something the like, your child is being born into a world like this. Like, sometimes even last night, I was sitting in bed and it's not a prayer necessarily, but I sent out a little like thought bubble because I was just like, somebody right now is being tortured to death. Like, somebody right now is drowning. Like, somebody right now is having the worst absolute day of their life. Like, somebody right now I don't even know how to conceptualize that billions of people on the planet, like millions of people this split second are dying, like having the most horrific time of their life. Like, somebody is trapped in a basement somewhere. Like, you're driving through a neighborhood talking about how beautiful the homes are, unaware that there are 6 kids living in fecal matter because you don't even know what's happening behind those closed doors until it becomes a story on TikTok, you know? And when you think about the world in that way, it can feel very overwhelming. And you're like, oh my God. And then you have to realize like, oh my God, how like I will probably never know that pain, but it's happening to somebody. Like, it's somebody's life, you know? I think about that trans woman. I'll never, I can't even think. It makes me want to vomit. Like that video I saw on the internet, it was so bad. She was tied in a river. They watched her drown to death. They had beaten her so severely, and a bunch of men just watched around and laughed. And as people tried to help her, they shot them or they stopped them from helping her. And she just died screaming, like asking for help. And I'm just thinking, like, what makes it possible for you to sit and watch that? Like, what is happening in your brain, in your experience, and the way you were raised or the way that you have it? What makes you able to do that to somebody? Like, I don't have that in my body. I don't have that in my, so then the question is like, why do those people exist? It's not just about culture or people or parents, or it's something else, like something not magical, obviously. I don't believe in that. But it's so gross. And I do think it's like a ends justify the means, dog eat dog world, whatever. Like it's this idea that we all have to survive and this is our way of surviving. And I think the romanticization of struggle is real. And I think it exists even in communities where they beat people to death, like in communities where they kill people to death. Like, you know, I think about just like the romanticization of the mafia or gang culture or whatever else. There is something romantic about this idea of like people in the community rising up to sort of like police neighborhoods or take care of their communities or get transformed into what looks like, you know, again, patriarchal behavior. But I think that's the dilemma is like, I think we have this idea, like, look, if our own family and friends are most likely going to be the ones who rape or kill us, then does it really matter if they're in a gang or not? Like, does it really matter? Like, it's just like, I think sometimes we live in a world where we romanticize, the we had to story. We had to do it because of this. We had to do it because of that. It's like, yeah, I think you probably did have to do it because of whatever. And also you didn't have to. But how do you get to the point where you don't have to? And that's the part we need to get to is how do we get to the point where we don't feel like the story is, I had to, you don't understand. You know? I saw that the other day some man was saying, it's so gross that women think we want to go to war. We were forced to go to war. Yeah, for sure. I think little boys are drafted unconsensually against their will into a war they didn't decide to fight. And that also comes from a patriarchal culture and a traditional culture that doesn't allow men to be femme or express themselves in different gendered ways. And it's never going to work. Like we're going to talk about the gender war today. There is no gender war. Like I'm not at war with men. I'm in conflict with patriarchy, but anybody that upholds patriarchy is going to come at the detriment of everybody else. But I don't know why we're pretending like men actually want to dismantle patriarchy. They just want to complain about it, but not dismantle it. And some women too, obviously, but there's a group of women that are working, a group of femmes, LGBT, queer people that are fighting to dismantle patriarchy. And it's going to take a long time because it's not very many of us, you know? Okay, look at this video.
Question we get all the time is, where do we source our hair? Our hair comes from Eastern Europe and Brazil. I specifically like the Eastern Europe and Brazilian hair because it is a little softer and has more diversity in terms of texture and color. But not every hair is created equal. I actually have to go through thousands and thousands of kilograms of hair to pick out the best ponytail. I'm checking for split ends, texture, and how the hair reacts after it's been washed. Our hair is 100% virgin hair, so the texture of curls that you see here or the silky straight of this wig is actually non-processed or chemically treated. You know, if you want to see a specific color or texture,
bro, the wall, look at the wall.
Like the Eastern Europe and Brazilian hair, where do we source our hair? Our hair comes from,
look, it looks like literally like when you see it, now I can't help but see like women, like the women it represents or the humans. It could be men, it could be anybody. But now I'm just like looking at it like it's almost like heads to me.
Eastern Europe and Brazilian hair.
Like, look at this.
It is
people's lives, people's memories, people's loved ones, the amount of hands that stroke this hair, the amount of love that went into this hair, the amount of memories. Maybe your baby pulled on your hair and like that's a memory for you. And now it's just being sold.
How the hair reacts after of this wig.
Look at that. And now I just see this and I just think of like, oof. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's almost like hunting trophies, chat says. Yeah, it just looks like hunting trophies. That's exactly what it looks like. I never thought about this before. Like, I just never thought about it before. And now I'm just like sick to my stomach. Everything that we are, even we are being, guys, like, we are literally being harvested. Like, in that sense, like, we ourselves, it's not even coming from a genuine place of donation. It's coming from a desperate place. Like, how many of these people are genuinely happy to sell their hair? And how many of them feel like, okay, I can do it to make money? Like, and this is why we're talking about sex work should never be coerced. Like, you should never be a sex worker because you need money. Like, you know, it's too vulnerable of a job. I don't think, like, this is a different kind of labor. Like, this is a different kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this is different. And also, no matter your job, you shouldn't be considered a lower person, regardless of your job. Okay, next video.
This hair vendor is trending for cutting the hair of a Vietnamese girl to make wigs. The aim of this video was to show her customers that she produces raw human hair. While some people are not comfortable with the process, others want to know how to get the wig.
I'm sorry I'm going to cut your hair, but this is what we do for living. Thank you so much for allowing me to cut your hair. So I just wanted to show you guys how we get the baby teen hair. It's gotten from a real Vietnamese hair, and we're just going to do the cutting. So I had to take permission from them to do the cutting because I want to prove to you guys that we sell raw dono. And that's raw dono. We are in the factory and we will take you around. So we'll start the process. All right. Okay, hold on, I think I have to go back. Oh my gosh! We made it! Finally, we have a single donor raw baby teen hair!
This hair vendor.
Chet says, Britt, how do you sleep after ruminating on that? Well, I'm not ruminating. I'm thinking. Rumination is not the same thing. 2, I'm meditating. So I meditate. I send, you know, it's always about radical acceptance. I radically accept I live in a world that is this world. And then I let it go, right? Like, at the end of the day, I think that's why my practice of radical acceptance, I know people aren't, you know, they're not thinking about it. And my practice is to think about it and put it in its place, right? Like, people just shut themselves off from it. I try to recognize it, embrace it, take it, honor it, and then put it back where it belongs. That's my meditation practice. Okay, next.
Come with me to the village in Cambodia to cut hair. I chose her because her hair was nice and full and I needed it to match up.
I hate that language. Listen to that.
Cambodia to cut hair. I chose her because her hair was...
I chose her. Girl, it's like you got a bunch of girls on a lineup and you're like, this one. I will take this one's hair. Sam I am. I don't like it, Sam I am. I don't like it. No.
Nice and full, and I needed it to match other bundles that I've already purchased in Cambodia. Just me cutting the hair, just me going through it. I knew exactly what I want, and I wanted to understand the Cambodia communities, you know, why women grow their hair for years before selling it. I learned that it's a way for them to support their family. It's a way...
Oh, so it is a way to support their family. So it is exploitative. Do they want the hair? Have you ever thought that maybe they want long hair? Do these women even have a choice? Do these men even have a choice to have long hair? Or are they denied their right to have long hair because they need to feed their families? That's what I'm saying. How is this not exploitative? Now you're taking from their literal family, like you're taking they don't even have a right to their bodies. Do they even have a choice? This is what I'm saying.
For them to pay for their children's education, even cover medical experiences or create...
Okay, so now they need it for medical bills and education. Great.
Financial opportunities. It's just not hair, it's a sacrifice, and it's something that I don't take lightly. As I was cutting her hair, she really couldn't believe that her hair was gone. So I paid her more than what they asked for just because she sat down and she did this for me.
Well, she didn't do it for you, Habibi, with peace and love, respectfully. She did it because she's in a position of struggle where she has to pay for her kids to live. So she has to grow out her hair so you can buy it. Once every, 5 years? What are we talking about? She didn't do it for you. You just said she did it to feed her kids, to pay for their education. And yes, I appreciate that she paid them extra, but now what? That's only good for what? How many years could she do this?
She was just so shy. She was so grateful, and this was just a beautiful experience. It actually brought tears to my eyes, but I definitely would do it again.
And then she said, I definitely would do it again. I can't see it the same anymore. I can't see it the same anymore. I can't. It's ruined for me. Ruined. Okay. So again, when we have conversations about like bringing kids into the universe, you know, making peace with the fact that existence is this way, what we're making peace with is the reality of the situation is all of us, even the best, most well-intentioned people, we're taking advantage of each other. Like, anyone can exploit you, even with a smile on their face, even when they don't mean to. I don't think this woman means to. I think all of these people that are buying this real human hair are probably not even thinking about it, just like I never thought about it. Just like we're never thinking about everything we're ever doing. Like, I can't tell you guys, before we stop shopping at Amazon, except in like very rare emergency cases, I used to buy Amazon all of the time. All of the time. Just, girl, Amazon was prime. Everything on Amazon. New packages at my door all the time. I probably given Amazon $20,000. You know what I mean? Over the years. Like, I have absolutely bought everything on Amazon, right? When we decided to go Amazon free, again, no ethical consumption under capitalism, on a very rare occasion, I think 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years, we've had to buy from Amazon or whatever it's been. And when, and now I don't even know like what we were doing before that we needed Amazon so bad. Now I'm like, what was I even buying on Amazon? Now I'll tell you this though, there was a learning period of recognizing like how easy Amazon made it. And so now I just don't shop as much. And now we're living on a budget anyways, but I now go to the store. I now get on the bus and go local. And that's kind of our focus. And yes, it is a pain in the ass to leave the house. But also, it's nice to buy local. Like, I got all these flowers local. I, got to leave the house for the day. I got to even, whatever it is. I have workout equipment right here. We bought local. And that was nice. Like, that was, it changes the way I feel about my community. It feels better, So anyways, when we have these conversations, I'm never trying to erase how layered and complex this all is. It's just an example of like, even I, for the rest of my life, will have so many bubble pops of awareness of like, oh no, we got to talk about this. And also, this is horrible. And also, like, what the fuck? And also, no wonder we're not thinking about these things. We're not trained to. I've never thought about real human wigs before. I just never thought about it, And now I'm like, uh-oh. I don't like it. Sam, I don't like it, Chess says, fortunately, hair is something that grows back, but having to sell a part of yourself to support yourself is just sad and exploitative in general. For sure. For sure. Right? I don't like it. Chat said, honestly, happy you had a bubble pop on this important and it's important and never talked about. Yeah, it's never talked about. It's never talked about. And I just like, wow. I'm telling you, the vegan journey is really changing my relationship with us too, because veganism, though it is about exploitation of non-human animals, we never think about the exploitation of ourselves and all the nuanced ways that it happens. And this is one of them. Like, growing things out of my own body, like of my own spirit, and then to cut it off so I can get money to pay for groceries. Like, but again, this is because of the way that the system works. Again, if I individually want to donate my hair to a loved one, that is different than what we're seeing here. Same with sex work. If I want to create works of art that people happen to buy and jerk off to, but if I think to myself, I'm in a really bad place, should I do this exploitative thing in order to make money? No. And that includes any job you're doing. If you're doing hard labor in construction and you're working with an abusive boss, but you have to pay your bills, like, you don't deserve to be exploited that way. It is exploitation regardless of the industry you're in. And you have to realize, like, if you're being exploited. And then that's why we rally. That's why we build unions. It's why we protest on behalf of workers, because no worker deserves to be exploited. None of them. And I think sometimes under patriarchy, men wear it like as a badge of honor. Like, look at me, I'm getting cancer and working in the mines, and look at the work I'm putting my body through. And I'm saying, like, this is not the brag you think it is. This is the brag that capitalism has convinced you, patriarchy has convinced you is a brag, so it can keep you working. And I'm saying, stop doing that to yourself. Stop letting yourself be exploited. And it's not, sorry, let me rephrase. Stop believing the conditioning that you have been taught your whole life that you being exploited is a part of your gender experience. Okay? It's not that you're letting yourself be exploited. It's that you are believing the bullshit about the exploitation that's related to your gender. And that includes for all genders of all people in all expressions. Okay? Okay, let's see. Chat says exactly, it's so normalized. AI didn't think about it until I did. And then I was like, oh, ew, AI normalized? Oh, I didn't think about it until I did. I thought you meant AI. I think it's a typo. And I was like, AI? No, I didn't think about it until, yeah, exactly. But that's why I call it a bubble pop, where you live with this perception, you live with this idea, and then you hear a piece of information, you're like, wait a second. And now my whole life is going to change. Now my whole, I cannot keep living now that I know this in the same way that I was living before. And that's really what a bubble pop is, kind of crazy. Chat says, I worked at Amazon and it was horrible. I was fired and it was the best thing that happened to me. I was able to get a better paying work from home job. Love that. Congratulations on your firing. Sometimes getting fired is a blessing. Let me tell you. Right? Chet says, something I never thought about until someone brought it up was how exploitative IVF is, because these women are being paid to carry a baby that isn't theirs in order to support themselves. Well, the surrogacy of it all, right? I don't know. IVF in particular, isn't IVF specifically different than surrogacy? But either way, I think even that, I think Chelsea Fagan was talking about this in her latest video. I didn't finish it for the record, but when I was watching it, she was talking about the overpromising these businesses do to people who can't have children and how exploited these couples are about doing IVF treatment or about doing all these things, because there's no guarantee you'll have that baby. So even freezing your eggs or creating embryos or whatever you're doing, these businesses get paid whether you get a baby or not. And so again, my brain is just not about it. I refuse. On principle, I refuse. It just doesn't make sense. And by the way, don't even get me started on adoption agencies and how much babies need to be adopted and how much of that is exploitative. Oh my God, the way we are trafficking children, without a doubt. Guys, if parents want to keep their babies, give their babies up for a better life, those parents need to be helped, not their children taken away. So many of the children in adoption agencies have parents who want them but can't afford to care for them. What? When I used to think adoption was the most amazing thing, I researched into it because I wanted to adopt, and I was like these parents literally write on the applications, would love an open adoption, would love contact with my kid, just can't afford to. Wait, just give these parents money. Why am I somebody give them money? Why should I have to take their kid? Why are we doing this? Okay. Anyways, that's my morning rant for today. We'll move on. But okay, just remember that exploitation comes in all shapes and sizes. And even when we think we're doing well, and even when we think we're helping people, it's okay to meditate on it. Meditate. Because whoa.